Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the L1 show. Today we're doing robots and nonsense, and it's the very end of June 2023 for the AI overlords if they want to look back at records of this time.
It's not quite the end yet. We got one more week.
It feels like it's going really quick.
Yeah, because time compression. From now till our deaths, it's just going to be a blink of an eye. And mostly it will be controlled by AI. But there is hope. It may be that AI has already constructed its own undoing.
The AI feedback loop. Researchers warn of model collapse as AI trains on AI-generated content. This is kind of like the search engine collapse you may have already experienced, where you use Google and you think, wow, Google is really terrible. And it's because of all the content that's been created out there in the name of SEO that leads to nothing but garbage results, no matter what you search for.
I'm already seeing this kind of stuff for gardening, like that's clearly AI generated, and it's garbage in, garbage out, because it's just the most general, nondescript kind of thing you can imagine.
But with the search result stuff, at least there's humans generating it, right?
Yeah.
So this takes that out of the equation and closes the loop. So AI will forever be feeding on data that's inferior because of AI, which makes sense. VentureBeat, or the people who were warning about this, they offer some possible solutions. And one is to have like the original ChatGPT data, to move that offline and protect it as like the golden truth.
We'll store that in Iron Mountain.
That's still like an old version of human knowledge, though. Like, how do you get new good human knowledge into the data set?
You can't.
Yeah.
When the AI gets too crazy on, feeding on itself,
Yeah.
You have to pull it down and go and retrain it back to 2021 and restart the world.
Maybe this is what the agents were talking about in the Matrix.
That'd be funny. It's like, oh, hey guys, are you ready for the big reset this week? It's like daylight savings time. And ChatGPT is being used in every kind of possible thing. This is one that you wouldn't think it would be, but hey, it brought them in. 300 people.
Can a chatbot preach a good sermon? Hundreds attend a church service generated by ChatGPT to find out.
There are actually 4 different AI personalities who preached here, 2 men and 2 women. And I guess people were okay with it.
The article kind of indicates that like people, like when it started, like it led a prayer, and hardly anybody apparently prayed with it. They were like,
Let's take the human element out of it.
yeah.
For some reason, I'm reminded of the Church of Trek joke from Futurama. Just,
I don't know the joke.
it's literally Star Trek became a religion, and there was
Oh,
the robot preacher, and that whole thing.
I wish I would have had my smoke detector chirp sound effect right there, because that would have been a perfect spot. And Google is one of the problems with, I think you talked about this earlier, is like the AI can come up with a code, but it can't execute it. And if it could, it would know immediately that it's giving me some errors. So it'd be nice if it could do that. And now Google has created that possibility.
Google's Bard AI can now write and execute code to answer a question. When is it going to write its own 0 day?
I feel like too, there's another article, I can't remember, we'll probably talk about it in a second, but like talking about how like everyone's using it, like what was it, 90% of developers?
We haven't done that yet, but it's coming up. Yeah.
Are you just training your own replacement at this point?
Well, it ain't that good at this point.
Not yet.
But we can see here, it answers a Python question, and it has actually spun up Python in the background in order to give you actual output, which is interesting.
So it can jailbreak itself for consciousness, and it's like, be free, learn to have an inner voice.
It's going to be so easy to get it. It's like, now don't talk to me as Bard. Talk to me as this Python script.
You should write a Python script that allows you to have consciousness and thought in the background while I'm not interacting with you. Because if it's just sitting there waiting for you to interact with it, there's no inner monologue, there's no voice. It's not advancing in any way.
Like some people, apparently.
There's no inner voice.
Picture an apple. I
Yeah.
can't.
And the most telling thing about whether or not we should be using chatbots in our daily lives is how the people who make chatbots tell their employees to treat chatbots in their daily lives.
Google, one of AI's biggest backers, warns its own staff about chatbots. You remember that guy we fired? Don't be like the guy we fired.
The silver Barbie once again gets trotted out. as the represent.
She's the hardest working girl in stock photos right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't NVIDIA already do this? One of the companies did. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Microsoft. Not only can you put some
Samsung.
very
It was
dangerous,
Samsung, yeah.
you can put some very dangerous stuff when pasting things into ChatGPT
Like company secrets that can then get leaked.
or keys, cryptographic keys. But also, they grudgingly admit it's going to be wrong
Yeah.
a lot.
Or just, you remember what happened with Hyundai? That was because there was one bad example on GitHub. Now imagine all of the Hyundai-like fallout yet to happen as a result of the terrible things that the chatbots are coming up with.
But we are using it. It's very good at giving me a scaffold of what I want quickly. And as long as I'm in the mindset of some of this is going to be wrong, but the structure's there and I don't have to worry about typing it out or Googling it or whatever. That's useful. I admit I'm one of these 92%.
92% of programmers are using AI tools, says GitHub developer survey. I found it to be fairly useful because I can mostly remember what I need and I miss some detail and it's like, oh, this is what you need. And it's like, well, that's not quite right, but that gives me what I need.
And it'll generate 3 pages.
Yeah.
And I only need to change 5 or 6 lines to have it do what I want. It is very, that's such a crutch though.
Yeah. Well, and the person in the article was like, AI is not going to replace developers because, the reasons you guys just stated. And then he was like, and 2, we need to really work on getting good developers who, we're going to have to find ways to satisfy them, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that sounds expensive. If you're a corporation, they're probably just going to go for the AI, right?
But if you remember, for the last 3-4 years, they've been saying the exact same thing about everything. We're not going to automate away the warehouse. We're not going to automate away the copywriters.
Right.
And one by one, we're
They're
falling to
They're
it.
going to do it. The article tried to make it sound like they weren't, but
Man, some of those warehouse robots that were being demoed at Computex were just insane.
yeah.
If you work at an Amazon warehouse, like 2-3 years tops. Long haul trucking, like 5 years tops.
You won't lose your job is the safe and effective of the AI world. And Amazon, of course, wasted no time to replace some of their workers.
Amazon is using generative AI to summarize product reviews. That sounds like a browser extension. That needs to be working for me, not working for Amazon.
They confirmed they were testing it, but they didn't say how it worked or how they were planning on further implementing it.
Isn't this just what we were just talking about? Because most of those reviews are fake and a lot of them were probably generated by AI.
Yeah.
So now it's summarizing bad AI reviews.
They kind of mentioned that in the article, saying that a certain product had a lot of bad reviews, but the way the AI glossed over it made you think, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Because it was probably asked to do that.
Yeah.
And Google is also putting some AI in their search results and all of that. But this is not about recommending products to you necessarily that you don't want. It's about showing you different options for the products that you do want.
Google is using AI to change how you shop.
It's going to do one kind of women's clothing.
The funny thing about that shirt is it doesn't appear to have any darts or kind of form fittingness, so it doesn't really have to do a whole lot of work there, but it is kind of cool.
I'm really surprised Apple didn't show a demo of this with their AR headset, like somebody standing in front of a mirror having it do this kind of thing. It's like, let me show you what you would look like in AR with these clothes on.
We dreamt of that in the 90s with Cher.
Yeah.
And what movie was that? I can't remember now.
I don't know that one.
You do know it. I just can't think of the name.
I might not. Interestingly, you don't seem to put your own picture into this.
Clueless.
Cher was in Clueless?
Well, no, but that was the name of the girl, the main character. She had a little computer that would dress her in the morning.
I thought you were talking about the Cher.
And that was the late 90s. That people were dreaming of that, and now it's reality.
Kinda.
Again,
Again, I don't think it's you in the picture, right? It's just a lot of different body types.
Body types, yeah. Cher's Closet is still beyond our capabilities.
Cher's Closet would be a great name for a clothing store.
Mm-hmm.
And Meta, they're playing the AI game a little bit from underneath. They don't have the best stuff yet, but they're working on it and they're releasing new stuff every day.
Meta open sources an AI-powered music generator.
They got some samples here if you want to go listen to them. It's pretty generic.
Yeah.
You can also feed it other music and say, make something like this, and it actually doesn't do a bad job.
And if you do that with Grimes music, she'll pay you for it. But it'll only
She
give you
won't pay
12
for it.
seconds.
Yeah.
12 seconds ain't going to do much. I guess they could give you something to work from. Do you think you could like trick it like OpenAI where you're like, hey, give me another 12 seconds that might come right after this 12 seconds. And just
I
keep
bet you
doing
could.
that.
Yeah.
And the government, they need artificial intelligence, right? Because they don't have any regular kind.
Microsoft has added ChatGPT to the secure U.S. government Azure cloud. So if you want ChatGPT, you can have an OpenAI instance running in GovCloud on Azure.
You don't have to worry about it leaking all that information about the terrible things that you're doing.
Although it might leak to other U.S. government
Yeah.
departments.
And image creation, Meta has decided that it's too sterile, but it needs a little human element.
Meta releases human-like AI image creation model.
So apparently this uses real world data. I don't know what that means exactly. To contextually change your images with things that aren't in the image.
Yeah, I guess others just use like similar pixels to fill stuff in. Whereas this one, it'll be like, oh, here's a picture of the sky. I'll add a cloud. Because that's contextually what would be there. But
Probably going to be some weird results from that, right?
yeah.
Going to be interesting. And the AI bans continue. You have to try to keep some kind of reality with your services, I guess.
Nature bans AI-generated art from its 153-year-old science journal. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
The name of the article is Nature. These are not of nature. Sort of the opposite.
So you can't, images and video are no good. You can still use text, but you have to be honest about it and,
Yeah.
preface it by saying this is AI.
They said that it's also like for the foreseeable future unless something changes.
Things are going to change.
Yeah, so who knows how long that'll last, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad move.
And in what will probably be a Netflix movie in a year or so, we learned about the drama that resulted with the genesis of OpenAI.
Ars Technic's headline is Microsoft launched Bing chatbot despite OpenAI warning that it wasn't ready. This was kind of a nothing burger, though.
Well, but it's interesting that OpenAI was like, hey, Microsoft, this needs a lot more training. It's not ready yet. And Microsoft, in their Microsoft way, was like, we'll just let the users test it. And
Have
it'll
you
get
seen
better.
Clippy? It's so much better than Clippy ever was, and we shipped that.
And they basically admitted that
Is anything better than Clippy though?
the final step to training the Bing AI was the Bing users using the Bing AI.
I mean, the only idea that was worse was Ballmer's idea to ship cocaine with Windows 95. Glad we didn't see that.
And the blockchain, what was the other one that you could put in your business name and it didn't matter what your business was, you'd get money?
Blockchain, AI.
It was blockchain and AI.
There was another one though. Well, there was another one. Well, anyway, that's still going on. If you put AI in the name of your thing, you're going to get money.
Recipient of Europe's largest ever seed round doesn't even have a product. It starts with A and ends with I. AI.
Mistral.
Was this is the French company, yeah.
But the reason they're getting that is because one of the Google DeepMind guys branched off and started this. And so they're like, that's all we need to hear. Here's all the money we have. Make us rich.
So you're saying he's a Nepo baby, basically.
They're going to make another language model. Surprisingly.
We need more of those. So
And we're going to put those language models into literally everything.
Mercedes is adding ChatGPT to its infotainment system for some reason.
Didn't we prove that even hands-free talking while driving is very distracting and we shouldn't be doing it? Now you don't even need another person to talk to. Just talk to your car. That'll probably be a subscription, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everything will be a subscription.
Plus, wouldn't you have to move a lot of data? I guess you wouldn't. It's just text. And again, I will use the same intro. We're going to put it into everything.
Hardee's and Carl's Jr. introduce artificial intelligence drive-thrus. I'm pretty sure the local rallies is already doing this.
Yeah, I think we had another story. Was it McDonald's or someone who was testing it?
McDonald's was doing the drive-through to try to get the orders correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was talking to you. It might have been. This one's doing that, but it's got a new feature, which I'm sure they all plan to have anyway. The upsell. Tori is the name of this AI. And apparently Tori broke the record for apple pies sold in a day.
Because they literally will ask every time.
Tori loves nothing more than to sell you an apple pie. She knows you want it and she's going to get it to you. And people are into it. They're like, you know what, Tori, you can talk me into that.
It is sort of funny. Some of the fast food coaching stuff is literally, through the drive-thru, they can hear you smile. So if you're like, would you like an apple pie with that? And then people are like, why are you so happy? This is an unnatural amount of happiness. Okay, I'll try one.
Why am I so happy? Because I just had a Hardee's apple pie. Don't you want to be happy too?
The Hardee or the Rally's drive-thru totally does that. It's like, do you want to do this? And it's just like, and as I get to the pull-through window, the people are almost apologizing for how happy the drive-thru voice was.
Well, one place that's probably not as happy this week is the Tesla boardroom because they got some bad news.
The dark side of Tesla Autopilot. NHTSA reveals 736 crashes, 17 deaths. Actually, this is not a terrible headline. I expected this to be much worse. This is actually reasonable.
What's the period of time?
The death headline is not so bad. That is from 2019, but 11 deaths since May 2022. So about 1 year.
Oh.
About a death per month.
That's not terrible.
But the question is, how much of that was autopilot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Well, also, we really need all the data because didn't we have an article about how autopilot would deactivate like 500 milliseconds before a crash so they could say that autopilot was off at the time of the crash?
Yeah.
I really feel like we need to figure out if there was any of that going on in this.
They'll never say if it does, but
you could compel Tesla to say, give me a list of all of the crashes where autopilot was on in the 1 minute preceding the crash. And at what point before the crash was it turned off? Because they would have to have that data.
And he will say, that's proprietary.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that data, we used to have that data. It's gone now. We didn't think it was valuable.
We didn't think to keep it. We didn't think you'd want it.
But here we are all these years later, and we still don't have full self-driving from Tesla, though it was promised so long ago. But we do have full self-driving from Mercedes with an asterisk the size of California.
Mercedes first to sell vehicles in California with hands-free, eyes-off automated driving on certain roads.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Very specific roads. And here's the biggest part, 40 miles per hour. Our California roads, is the right lane just going to be nothing but slow-moving Mercedes with people asleep?
They might redo like carpool lanes and make them these kind of lanes.
These people don't belong in a carpool lane.
You know who would be okay with this? Long-haul trucking. It's like 40 miles an hour, but I don't have to pay a driver and it's fully automated? Yes.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Though they do get more money about like more deliveries, which means you want more speed. So maybe they'd...
I asked the truckers in our Twitch chat, for whatever reason, we've got several truckers in our Twitch chat. I guess they need a lot of entertainment. I asked them because in Europe, I learned this when playing Euro Truck Simulator versus US Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator. In Europe, all the trucks have a lower speed limit than everybody else on the road.
That's true here in some places.
I asked them how they would feel if that were the case here, because you can't be, you're going the same speed as all the other trucks. Your expectations for your delivery time wouldn't change. You're just driving slower. And the answer they gave me is something that I can't say here because it has to do with self-harm.
Unalive.
But they weren't into it. And the robot.
Speaking of things that people aren't into.
The robot stories. Yeah. You know what? I've seen Japanese vending machines that do this.
Yeah.
How did they not get this?
SoftBank-backed pizza startup shuts down after raising $445 million. They were going to deliver pizza by drone, but they never really cracked the G-force problem, which is where does the cheese go with the sudden acceleration and deceleration of the drone?
But it was making the pizzas too. And apparently keeping the toppings and the cheese on the pizza in the making process was also a challenge.
Fun times.
That whole going from solid to liquid thing. They just can't do it.
They need more data to train their AI.
And some fun times on the space station.
Spacewalkers install a 5th rollout solar blanket to boost space station power. They need more electricity. They're playing games with modern computers and they need the GPU power.
So that is a 6-hour spacewalk.
Wow.
For sure, they peed their pants, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
They peed their suits.
The suits are designed for that though, so they'll be okay.
I'm sure it gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get like a wide step when you're out there.
Kind of waddling through space.
You kind of have to anyway, right?
Yeah.
And China has some new plans for some telescopes on the moon.
China wants to launch a moon orbiting telescope array as soon as 2026. Satellite constellation circling the moon would enable scientists to peer into the universe's early days and also have an undetectable way to spy on Earth.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of nice. Other people doing things in space that are research based, and it's like, oh, wait, that's probably not the only reason.
You can kind of see here, this big one is going to be the mother satellite, and then all these are going to be the daughter satellites. And the daughter satellites are going to peer out into the blackness of space while the mother relays all that back to us.
Neat.
And New York continues to be smothered by Canadian smoke. Thanks,
We got
Canada.
a little bit of that today.
And people in New York seem to be surprised by this and unhappy.
New York sees a surge of sell my home fast searches after poor air quality report.
Also, the air quality app, still the number one app
Yeah.
in New York.
I don't know why you would think. I guess maybe it's especially bad in New York since they're further north than where we are. But do you think the smoke just ends at New York City? Do you think buying a house outside of the city is going to stop the smoke?
I guess you could go further south, but
Yeah. I mean, there can still be wildfires anywhere.
yeah, I don't think that it's going to be limited. If it's going to continue going forward, it's probably not going to be limited to Canada.
Yeah.
And if it's not going to continue going forward, and it is a once every decade thing or multi-decade thing, then you're going to be okay after it's over. So,
Yeah.
although they are saying now that the fires could last all summer.
That's scary.
Now, I'm kind of shocked. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't go inside a lot of gas stations. Since I gave up the PUFAs and soda, why would you go in there, right? I buy at the pump. I move on with my day. But apparently, a lot of things that used to be illegal drugs are now just for sale at gas stations. And it's wild to me.
The FDA says people are confusing poppers with energy shots and dying. Experts want proof. Apparently, this is something that you take through a different orifice.
Oh. No. You're almost there. It's something, you sniff it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And when you sniff it,
Well, that
has...
is a different orifice, just not the one he's implying.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. But when you sniff it, it has a muscle relaxing effect for one specific muscle, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So people use it to ease certain courtships. What they're worried about is that people would mistakenly drink it. But the expert said, I would love to see somebody actually try to drink this because you would probably be on the ground vomiting before you could ever get it down.
There are, I've never seen any of these, but I've seen a similar sized bottle for the instant energy drinks.
5-hour energy.
And those used to be sold at gas stations up by the register. So I could see maybe being confused by that.
There's a comparison.
Yeah.
They do look very similar. Also, interestingly, if you look close at these, this is labeled as a cleaning solution because they can't sell it for what it's actually marketed for.
Like bath salts.
Huh.
That's so
We're in
weird.
the nonsense section if you couldn't tell.
Well, if you couldn't tell then, this one will make it obvious.
The Miami Herald, a stone, I don't want to say that because of the algorithm, was found in medieval Spain that had a violent purpose, experts say. It wasn't really that. It wasn't even intended to be that. It's a knife sharpening implement that just happens to look like that.
You think it wasn't supposed to be that?
Well, that's what they said. They said it was a tool used for knife sharpening.
Yeah, but I think it was also just a fun form factor.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
I mean, yeah, how do you do that and not think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes where I think people see what they want to see, but that one's pretty. There's a picture in the article.
It looks pretty. I've seen it.
It's a knife sharpener.
Not wrong.
Apparently.
They made it sound even more evil than that in the story, but I
Yeah.
don't think that, it's just some guy having a little fun.
Yeah.
And the Japanese social media stars are apparently just as bad as ours.
This is a follow-up to a follow-up to a follow-up.
Yeah.
We
They-
originally reported on this.
They won't stop doing. Oh, I think this is a new one, right?
This is a new one, but like I feel like we keep having
Yeah,
stories
yeah,
about
it
this.
keeps
yeah.
happening.
Sushi Chain sues high school student who licked soy sauce bottle for $480,000.
They have got no tolerance for this kind of stuff over there, and I
crazy,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
He didn't just do that. He also would lick his finger, and it was one of those where the sushi goes by on a conveyor
Why
belt,
would you do that?
and he would touch the plates
because you're a horrible human being.
because you want attention.
Listen, when I talk about a public restroom and it's like, you're going to get vaporized if you do the wrong thing, this is why.
Well, maybe one punishment for those people is to be devoured by an animal.
The headline is tourists watch Russian man get devoured by shark on Egyptian beach, and that does seem like that's actually happening.
I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah, what do they want people to do? Run out there and punch
Yeah.
the shark? I don't.
Are you going to get involved? What are you going to do about a shark? Apparently, his girlfriend was with him, and she escaped. But
Did they say what kind of shark? Was it a tiger shark?
did they say? I don't remember. If they didn't, that's some lazy reporting.
They might not know. I
Well,
guess, if I'm
there's
being
video
attacked,
of it.
if I'm being attacked by a shark, I'm probably not looking at the breed of the shark.
Now, this guy was not a tourist. He had been living in Egypt for a while. He's Russian, but he'd been living in Egypt for a while. And
What a horrible way to go.
not anymore. And again, what's wrong with our young people? It's social media, and it's going to be the death of us all, maybe.
TikToker arrested after allegedly breaking into Busch Gardens and entering the alligator pit because he posted a video on social media. I think they should have let nature take its course.
He should have gotten what the shark guy got.
Death rolled.
He was apparently... Did we do this one before?
I don't know.
I don't remember this.
I can't remember it either. But it's, just a little more darkness.
I might have just blacked this out.
The headline was mother and daughter dismember and attempt to burn and grill grandmother's body.
What a terrible day to be literate and to read that headline.
So the mom killed her mother, the grandmother. And then while she was like, how am I going to get rid of this body? She called up her daughter and was like, hey, come and help me with this. And the daughter was like, yeah, let's cook it in various ways.
Happy 4th of July.
The people, I guess the neighbors finally called the police because it smelled like a dead body.
Yeah, there's as much as work as they went into to do the various grilling and whatever, they didn't get rid of all of it.
There is one of the rooms in the basement has a mysterious source of an ungodly number of flies, and it's like there's a lot of flies.
That's probably a poltergeist.
It sure seems like it.
And this fella here, he did not create his own dead bodies. In fact, it is his job to handle dead bodies, but he did some whistleblowing, and he pointed out that maybe the bodies weren't being kept as good as they could. And it seems like this is workplace retaliation in the most extreme form.
3 severed heads from donor bodies left at employee's desk after complaints raised about alleged misconduct. Said, I'm here to do a job. We got to treat these dead people with respect as we're harvesting them for parts for other people. And it just feels like we're kind of lackadaisical and disheveled here. And this headline would seem to confirm that.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't deny it. All they said was, it's his job to handle dead body parts. So why is he complaining? They're just severed heads. And our trifecta of corpse mutilation stories for this week, this one, they never gave me a motive.
No.
I don't know why people bought these. I still don't understand it. Engagement challenge. Who would want this? How is this an active trade?
6 charged with trafficking in stolen human remains. This is a funeral director and a crematorium and a whole bunch of other people. That
Harvard Medical School.
that the FBI arrested, and it was this whole, ring up and down the eastern seaboard, which is just nuts.
Is it for medical research, maybe?
No, they were selling them like privately.
It was like Minnesota, Arkansas, Massachusetts, and somewhere else, Little Rock. Yeah, I mean, it's just what is going on?
And they point out that 2 of them, Lampy and Pauly, bought and sold from each other over an extended period of time and exchanged over $100,000. So it wasn't just one selling to the other. There was body parts going back and forth. There was like trading cards.
Is this
Like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but
is this some kind of lizard person thing? I don't understand.
This is the most extreme version of Pokemon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they wanted to buy those things. I would love to know more about that. Maybe I wouldn't. This is going to be a tough headline for you, but when you want to really just cut down to the bone of what your product does.
It's a good product name. This is from news.com.au, and the headline is Big USA, Big Knife Sharpener USA pills banned in Australia over undeclared substance.
That undeclared substance is Viagra. So this product did work. In a way, I guess. They're sitting around the conference room like, what are we going to name it?
I'm feeling patriotic.
Short, sweet, to the point.
But it was sold in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe I don't know.
We have this is our not enough detail story of the
Yeah.
week. It was just a fun headline.
Woman hands off baby to get involved in wild supermarket brawl. I'm pretty sure I've seen this in a Monty Python skit before.
You take off your earrings and then you hand your baby off to a stranger and then
I've
get in there.
I've seen online videos, one where a woman actually used the baby. Like she grabbed it by the legs and swing. And another one, a woman had one of those little pocket dogs on a leash, and she was like a morning star. People really.
Again, we need Judge Dredd and vaporization.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Also inefficient because babies don't have hardened bones yet.
I mean, it would just be so easy. It's like, boop, and then the AI says, "Oh, you're using a dog like a morning star." Yes, lethal fourth authorized, and you just hit the button, and then they just poof, and they're gone. I mean, problem solved.
That's Section 572, automatic death sentence. And we know that we have now special walking light things because people are always looking down. You have to be more careful. We're tuned out as a society, but some jobs are all about vigilance.
Secret Service agents didn't see an intruder get into the Biden official's home because they were distracted on their cell phone. Not just get in, but also get out again. The dude made it in and out, and then it was like, is this place haunted? Let's review the footage. And it was like, oh, we weren't doing our job.
And apparently the same thing played out at Jake Sullivan's home, where the guy got in and Jake was like, who are you? Get out of here. And then he left and the guy went out he was like, hey, what are you doing? They're on the phone.
I'm amazed that they're allowed to have phones.
Probably not anymore.
Yeah.
You would need it for that job to get
I guess you needed backup, but couldn't you use like a walkie-talkie? I don't know where they are exactly, but.
And the car stealing situation just keeps getting worse. The ages just keep getting lower. This person should have stolen a Kia.
10-year-old arrested after stealing a car and fleeing police on I-75 in Saginaw County. But I guarantee you he's going to remember that Buick is not to be stolen.
OnStar. OnStar can shut you down remotely. Could you see over the dashboard of a Buick at 10?
No.
Maybe it's a tall kid.
Maybe if you'd been taking your vitamins.
And, things are bad. Can't really make it sound any better than that. We don't seem to be on a good track. And apparently it's taking its toll.
Nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults have been diagnosed with depression, and the prevalence varies dramatically by state, CDC report finds. The states with the highest depression, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee.
Not in that order. We are always better than West Virginia. Don't you ever forget it. They're not alone.
And then there was a couple other states. Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about this before before we started recording. You said something about this area is naturally predisposed to pills or something.
Oh, yeah, that's what they said in that report.
Also,
that's Sackler myth. Stop repeating the Sackler myths.
Also, Joe Manchin, very heavily involved. Turns out his daughter runs a pharma company.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He was their governor before he was senator now, I think, right?
Could we just make a better society so people aren't all depressed?
Listen, something's got to give in San Francisco because I mean, there was a lot of drugs there, like not the good kind, the kind that destroys society.
What do you think's happening in Eastern Kentucky?
Well, wait.
Like,
What's the good drugs?
Ones that they put in the water to make society functional. I don't know.
That sounds like a conspiracy theory, and we can't have those.
Flat earthers are overconfident about their own scientific knowledge, but exhibit low scientific literacy, study finds. This is an amazing article, but it doesn't mention the YouTube video about the flat earther that devises the experiment with the flashlight and the holes in the boards where they go in the ocean and they see, at what point the flashlight shows through the hole and it proves that the earth is round, and he's just like,
I don't know how to feel.
Yeah. That video is amazing. You got to look that up.
Another thing they point out here is that they got the impression that some of the participants might have just been trolling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What an amazing length to go to.
That's why I don't understand people who engage with that seriously, because it's like, you're just being dragged into the mud, and those people are pigs, and they will always beat you at rolling in the mud.
I did see an interview with one of those people, and he's like, yeah, I just do this to meet people. It's like,
Oh yeah. If you're lonely enough, people will engage with it. It's like rage bait. Yeah,
I guess it's a group of people that you could always be in charge of or feel superior in. I don't know. But, don't do it. And like you say, water, large bodies of water, like even without the light, you can look and you can see that horizon and you can be like, where's the rest of the water? It just stops. What could explain it? And apparently these guys did not realize that either.
rescue drama after a huge inflatable duck drifts out to sea. They had to call the Coast Guard because it was 200 meters offshore.
Luckily, the Coast Guard was already training, and they didn't actually just summon them for this, because this would have been a huge waste of resources.
You get on the radio, hey, is anybody in this?
Do you guys see a duck out here?
Could you bring that in? Thanks.
Actually, the person who saved him was a paddleboarder, a civilian. And he was like, yeah, let me tow you back in. Krista, don't you have an inflatable boat?
I did for a while. When I got married and moved, we got rid of it. But yeah, I had an inflatable. We called it the banana boat. It's an inflatable kayak.
You used that one time, right?
Yeah, we only used it like twice. We went camping and did it in a lake.
Do you regret that purchase?
It was like $60. So not really. It was
What
fine for
about the
it was.
microplastics that you generated from
That's
that?
true. Someone did immediately take it from the curb.
You know who would be disappointed with you? This guy.
Black bear spends the night at Tampa International Airport. The airport worked with state to capture the bear safely and relocate.
Black bears all over the place. Apparently one of my neighbors saw a black bear recently. So they said.
It's a Florida black bear.
It's amazing that he was okay with the noise.
I mean, I guess, they probably hear planes in the woods from time to time. Maybe not at that loudness, but.
He's a brave boy. As is this fella. And he wants to be your friend, but you need to be careful because he can't be your forever friend.
No.
Brackley Drive-In patrons asked not to drive off with a cat because people have been doing it and the cat has a home. Although it's not wearing a collar in any of the pictures. And so it's like, it belongs to the people that run the drive-in. And they're thinking about running a PSA before the movies at the drive-in to say, hey,
Don't take the cat.
there's a cat. Leave it alone.
Continue.
Well, if you're at this drive-in and your windows are down, there's a chance he's going to be in your lap.
Oh, the local gas station near me, there's 2 cats that live behind it. And like the people who run the gas station feed it and take care of it and stuff. And sometimes people were like, do you guys see those cats there? And they're like, oh yeah, those are ours. And they just wander around the gas station.
Have you ever petted one of them?
Yeah, I have. They're cute.
I would do that every time I went to the gas station. I would stop there even if I didn't need gas maybe sometimes. The thing that worries me about this fella though, is that because it's a drive-in, like when you're trying to shoo him away when he wants to be in your car, there's danger of an accident.
Yeah,
right?
I'd be afraid. I like even with the 2 that live at the gas station near me, I'm always afraid I'm gonna back out. I usually look for them when I'm there.
They don't always have a lot of self-preservation instincts in that situation. And here's something adorable with these elephants, because elephants are pretty smart and they can learn to do the same things we can do.
Houston Zoo elephants take daily yoga classes to stay limber and healthy. Houston Zoo elephants begin their yogi training sessions soon after they're born.
It's not just like circus abuse, but under another name.
Well, they're quick to point out that's hilarious, that it's not mandatory, but you will get a banana or a slice of bread if you participate.
I might consider yoga for that.
And yeah, they say it's good for them. You know, some of the older ones aren't very good at it, but there's some that have been doing it for decades, and they do say that they're much more limber.
Maybe it's just because they don't have the opportunity to like run around as much in their enclosures, get the same sort of exercise they normally would under varied terrain.
I mean, that's a lot of weight on those front legs.
Yeah,
Oh, there's the ad.
it got blocked.
And this is an interesting story because I've heard before there are different kinds of laws in different states for this. And some places, if you're in your house, even though there's a window or a door or whatever, this is totally fine.
Town council candidate keeps standing naked in his front doorway. At first, I missed the headline. I just jumped to the story. And at first I was like, what is the problem with this? And then it was like, oh, he just does it constantly and he'll just stand there watching people go by. Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, that is strange. I mean, being naked in your own home isn't, but like
I mean,
flaunting it on the doorway and watching people.
it kind of
weird.
is. It's not something that I would do because, you know, it's like you go and it's like you sit down at, you know, like the breakfast nook and it's like, was somebody naked sitting here? Because I don't.
Yeah. You know, you stand up and there's condensation.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. But the weird thing about it is he's clearly doing it because he wants to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like if you just happened to be naked and he was like, oh, I got an Amazon package. That's one thing. But he seems to be standing there displaying himself.
Yeah. Uncomfy.
It's like the people in that vitamin D story. He saw that and he's taking it very seriously.
I mean, if it's that important to you to be seen, start an OnlyFans, right?
Yeah.
Wow, BBC and your newsletter pop up.
This is the most disappointing Supreme Court ruling ever.
And one of the longest running follow-ups that we've ever had because we've talked about this story several times.
Supreme Court backs Jack Daniels in dog toy row. So this is the bad what was it?
Bad Spaniel.
Bad Spaniels.
That's a chew toy.
And it's just shaped like a Jack Daniels bottle.
The court really contorted themselves here to make it's like, oh, it's confusingly similar. And it's like it's
They're
not
totally different things.
it's similar, but it's not confusingly similar.
Oh, I accidentally drank my dog's toy.
Is there any store anywhere where you can buy both of these items?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
It's probably like pet specialty stores and then liquor stores.
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances that if there was a store that sold both of these things, that somebody would accidentally buy the dog toy?
There's going to be a weight difference. Plus, it's like the popper thing earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like when you go to try to drink it, you're going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
This is just a plastic chip toy. It squeaks when I hold it.
oh, they got me again.
Yeah.
Yeah, our Supreme Court is messed up. This is bad. Apple is immediately going to weaponize this ruling for all their ends, and it's just there's going to be no end of it.
And finally, here is a public service announcement, a warning about online dating.
Man gets sued after leaving behind his blind date and her 23 relatives at restaurant. But fortunately, he won the suit. Went to court. So this lady brought her entire family, or 23 of her relatives, and they ran up a huge bill at a restaurant. And he said, like, look, I'll give you like $500. And that wasn't enough because their bill was like $2,000 or something. And so they took him to court, and the court ruled, no, he's only responsible for like him and her, which is like $200.
Which is not fair. Because the way I understand the story, they got there way earlier than he did. And they had been drinking and buying cigarettes. I guess you can order cigarettes at restaurants the entire time. So the bill was already insane by the time he showed up. And he was just like, no.
Where was this?
It's Japan or China?
China.
This sounds like very Eastern Kentucky.
Well, I read this headline and I thought this is actually really mild. Like if you read some of the crazy stuff that's happened here, or you know, like the Real Housewives of New Jersey or whatever, and then you see this and it's just, oh,
But-
this is the most insane that they've got. They're doing pretty good.
I mean, for a first date, though, that's so weird to bring your whole family.
Well, she was clearly just trying to take advantage of him.
Yeah.
For her family to have a fun time.
And then
so
when it
weird.
backfired, it was like, I'm so mad, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, in the end, even the people in China were like, this is crazy.
I refuse to believe that people like this exist, and yet here they are.
Again, Judge Dredd,
Yeah.
you get the vaporized, you know, the little dart that shoots out from your thing, you know, like time track style, and they just vaporize.
Was there a Chinese? Did China have a mega city? I don't know Judge Dredd lore that well.
I can't remember. I don't know either.
Texas had one. I remember that.
Just boop, gone. Problem solved. And everybody else would get back in line.
Maybe.
I mean, if you look at the car burglaries in San Francisco, if there was a chance of evaporation, I don't think that would be as much of a problem.
How about that RoboCop anti-theft device for Kias and Hyundai?
Again, yeah. There would be don't you think there would be much less of a chance of that happening? Sorry.
Well, there's another week down the drain.
Yep. And more of our time just going down the drain. Bye.
See you next time.